It is me, Robot Macca. And you know, you cheaters, you've already read the title. You know what the video is going to be about. Yes, it is disturbing, true Snapchat stories. Stories. Let's get right into the video. Okay, let's do this. Disturbing, true Snapchat stories. Number one as well. Like we watched number two in the other video. Oh.
Days ago, I went to a small local gym in my now previous New Jersey town called Black Bear Fitness. One day, I had the misfortune of running.
It's that poster. It's the guy from Dodgeball. That was a good movie. I should watch it again tonight. My favorite part was this. Just wait. It's coming. Okay. This is my favorite bit.
Previous New Jersey town called Black Bear Fitness. One day, I had the misfortune of running into some skinny, awkward, yet creepy-looking kid, probably 18 years old. He didn't look like he belonged in a gym at all. I had headphones.
It's probably because he's built like a twig. You know, he wants to get those muscles up. You know, protein. I can't think of any big words.
I was doing my set when I heard him saying something to me, but it was muffled by the music. I was already annoyed with this kid, given that he was breaking an unwritten rule of the gym.
Real quick, shout out to the PS4 Gamer. He has his own channel, PS4 Gamer. Just check in the comments, you know, it's probably going to pop up there, his channel. But yeah, he's just a really good guy, good friend of mine, known person. He does Black Ops 4 videos, amazing. He does videos like this as well. He's been doing them more recently. You know, go check him out, subscribe. Really good friend of mine, good man. Let's keep going.
Don't try to talk to somebody when they're doing their sets. I took my time finishing my set, and then took my headphones out to ask if he needed something. Then he started acting like I looked familiar, but right away I knew this kid was just trying some pathetic attempt at making friends. I assured him I didn't, but the kid wouldn't stop talking to me. I'll skip most of the conversation, but eventually he actually asked me for my Instagram and Snapchat, weirdly enough, and for whatever reason I gave them to him. Instead of just saying something like, "Buddy, I'm trying to work out," or "I don't have social media." After I gave him my Snapchat and Instagram, however,
oh, he does have the social media.
To let me resume my workout. He finally seemed to get the message and walked away. Not without saying bye like 3 times, though.
He does it like, bye, bye, bye. Bye.
That night, I got a snap on my phone saying from Sean. I immediately sighed and said,
hold on, I gotta quickly make sure this doesn't keep on playing out for the microwave, so yeah. Okay, just finished that.
Oh no. Just wondering why the hell the kid would snap me. I opened the Snapchat and the kid...
What? No, come on, he's got...
was in a creepy, weird pose. Face...
And the caption says, I bet, like, if there's a caption, it's gonna say, bye, but bye, bye, bye. Maybe he is bye.
Way too close to the camera, with his head resting in his hand, and a half smile on his face. The text over the picture was "Hey" with 2 lines. For the record, I'm a guy, which made this even more weird. My thought process was, I've had enough of this loser already. I'm gonna remove him and make it clear I don't want to talk if I see him at the gym again. And so I did. I removed him minutes after he sent that snap.
Then he shot you.
Sure, not even a minute.
Fortnite.
Again, a message popped up on my phone, saying Snapchat from Sean. I waited a few minutes before opening it.
See, I know a lot of swans, yeah. Like, this swan's built like a twig. Like an actual twig, you know. One that you can legit pick up with your pinky finger. Even your pinky toe. And snap it with your pinky toe. But all the other swans I know in person, like, super, like, ripped. Well, not ripped, but, you know. Anyway, let's keep going.
This one was even creepier. Now the kid was sitting up on his bed. No smile, more of a surprise.
How do you go from a 15-year-old girl to a 7-year-old woman who's catches their grandson doing a dirty business? So, crazy. Crazy.
Angry expression. The text over the image said, "Why did you remove me?"
From Discord.
Now I went as far as to block him, meaning he couldn't snap me anymore. That was that. I threw my phone on the desk and sighed. Half an hour later, my phone goes off, saying Sean added you as a friend, and then Snapchat from Sean. He actually made a new account. I opened the snap and felt my heart drop. It was a picture of my front lawn.
That's just weird.
The text over it, "Answer me, bitch."
No.
The first thing I could think of was, how did he find my address? Then I realized, Snapchat made that new map feature that lets you see where your friends
I was
are.
about to say, is that there?
Somehow I had the
That's
balls
creepy.
to open the window to see outside.
So I'm just really tired.
I shut the window and the blinds and started considering calling.
Yeah, what are they expecting? Just like bands of photographers out there with cameras taking pictures? If you're expecting that, I don't blame you.
911. It was the sound of taps on the window. I took a deep breath, and with one swift motion, I pulled up the blind and the window at the same time.
And did this.
I need $10. Would you prepare to pop a phone in the face for $10? You that desperate for $10? Shut up. You'll take it?
Get in the shade, $10. Give it away.
Ready?
Here we go, mate.
I'm gonna cop a phone in the face.
Now this is what I'm going to do. If I ever see a Sean person come near my house.
I'll be nothing back. Alright, ready? 1, 2, and 3, and...
Oh, Jesus!
Pulled up the blind and the window at the same time and pulled the kid into my room by his neck. I punched him in the face a few times before he was out.
Okay. He must be super buff. Yeah, if I ever saw this guy person, I would not mess with him at all. Just saying.
Now I called 911. By the time they arrived, he was awake, cursing me out, promising he'd be back. The cops heard it all. I didn't even have to make a case. The kid was an idiot. Luckily, the timing of this worked out well, because I just moved a couple days ago out of state. Only thing that worries me, I don't want to have to make a new Snapchat account. But anytime somebody new adds me on the app,
You
I'll never
spank
know
him.
if it's
No.
secretly that Sean kid.
Spank him. Sean's just weird. Don't be afraid of him. Sean should be afraid of you. That's what happened then. Just saying. Let's move on to the next video. It is allegedly true, creepy, thunderstorm, horror stories. Wow.
In the year 2009, I was spending a weekend with my uncle on his ranch when my parents were renovating the new house we had just bought. It was my second night there, a Saturday, and it happened to be during one of the biggest thunderstorms of the year. I'd say there were at least 3 crashes of thunder and lightning per minute. And we were in the heart of the storm, because the thunder would crash not even a second after the lightning would. I always enjoyed listening to storms while laying in bed. So I stayed up a little later watching TV, just enjoying the ambiance. After the movie I was watching finally ended, I turned off the TV and tried to fall asleep. I heard the lightning strike from outside. I could have sworn I heard some kind of metallic thud coming from outside at the same time. I didn't pay it too much mind. 20 seconds later,
Whoa.
I could have sworn I
Full
heard it again.
hammer.
A very distinct metallic thud coming from outside to match the timing of the lightning. I really don't mean to make this sound like a cliche horror story, but my uncle really is a kind of creepy guy, and I was never close with him, even remotely.
Of course he's creepy. It's always the uncles, you know, especially the ones that are bald and have mustaches like that.
So for that reason, I didn't feel right going to wake him up. I just tried to forget about it. Now I was getting concerned. What the hell could that be? After the third time, I finally got out of bed and walked over to the window of the guest bedroom. The water pouring down on the window made it extra hard to see what was out there in the dark fields. A flash of lightning momentarily lit up the property, but I couldn't see anything. However, once again, the sound of a metal hit accompanied it. The sound was so close now. It sounded like it was coming from the left of the window at a blind spot. I was going to do something I knew my uncle wouldn't be happy about. It would be a bit messy, but I was going to open the window and peer outside to see if I could see what the sound was. I unhooked the window lock and slid it up, and immediately the wind of the storm blew drops of rain into the room and onto me. I stuck my head out the window and looked to the left, and at that very moment, lightning lit up the property once again, and I could see a person dressed in all black crouched down by the outside basement door with his hand raised in the air. And before the sky went dark, I caught the briefest glimpse of what the sound was coming from. The person was bashing at the basement door lock. I pulled my head in and quietly shut the window, making sure to lock it. I was in a panic. I feared he might have seen or heard me. I ran back to bed and pretended to be asleep, facing away from the window. Lightning crashed once again, but this time there was no metallic thud. My heart must have dropped as I realized this. I just stayed put in bed for the longest time, hoping whoever was out there would go away. After
Well,
maybe
not
three
really.
more
Yeah, he's
lightning
trying to rob
crashes
you or
without
something.
any thuds accompanying them, I thought it would be safe to go tell my uncle. I turned to face the window and screamed. There was a figure, clear as day, standing at the window, looking in at me. I screamed as loud as I could and ran straight to my uncle's room. He went outside with his hunting rifle with nothing.
Do you know what would be so funny? Like I'm not saying the story is fake, but if no, none of that happened, right? He's told his dad about all of this, he's gone out and done all this. Oh man, he would turn around and he'd be like, nah, just joking, you know. Like the uncle would turn around and shoot him right in his nuts. Make him look like Hitler. Only got one nut. Or maybe not like Hitler. Have no nuts. Either way, he won't be able to make babies after.
On but his pajamas, not even socks. He ran around the entire property yelling like a madman, but didn't find anyone. The next morning, we were able to better see the marks on the basement door lock. It was almost bashed open. Maybe 3 or 4 more good hits would have done it, according to my uncle. He was proud of me for picking up on it. Luckily, I was out of there that same day. My uncle hasn't told us of any incidents since, so I think he's been okay. Not that we talked to him much at all. I'm grateful I stayed up a little later that night watching that movie, because I may have just stopped a robbery, or possibly much worse.
A murder. Maybe murder and robbery. Well, that's it. We got 2 more stories. House sitting horror stories. This one's called.
Weeks ago, my dad came home and pitched me a small job offer. One of his coworkers was going away for a few days and needed somebody he could trust to watch over his house. The reason my dad pitched this to me was because the man's house has a big CCTV system. Basically a camera in every room, and then an operating desk where all screens could be watched on a big monitor. And I'm a computer science major, so my dad just always assumes that I know how to work anything technological.
Racist.
The man told my dad
Okay.
that he'd pay me $200 for the 2 days just to watch the house. Whatever that meant. My dad drove me to the house and introduced me to the man, whose name doesn't matter.
That's a pretty weird name. Obviously, his parents don't like him. Unless, hear me out. His family's last name is Maddow, alright? And, so, there was 12 children being birthed. And, he was obviously the 12th child. And, they thought that's name him dozen, as in like 12. But obviously the doctor doesn't. Obviously, doctors these days.
The man made it seem like he preferred I stay in the upstairs room with monitors as opposed to roaming the house all day. That was fine with me though. So when I wasn't eating, I was mostly just sitting in that room with the TV on in the background and doing schoolwork on my laptop. Ironically, the thing I was doing the least was keeping an eye on the monitors. Night came. I started wondering where in the house I should sleep since surprisingly we hadn't discussed that. So I sat back down at the desk and looked at all the different rooms on the screens to see which rooms had beds and mattresses. I noticed something I wasn't expecting to notice though. The back screen door was open downstairs.
Well,
I
you left
didn't
that
remember it
open.
being open. I looked through each and every
Probably 'cause
camera
you're
screen in
stupid.
a panic. In the living room, a closet door was open. This one I knew wasn't open earlier. I texted my dad to call the man and ask him if he came back home. Meanwhile, I continued watching the screen. On the grainy, dark image, a tall person who resembled only a black shadow on the screen stepped out from the closet. I pulled my arms off the desk as I covered my mouth with my hands in shock. As I did this, however, my left elbow pulled some heavy object from the desk onto the floor, creating a big thud. The person in the image...
Does anyone know what that is? I don't know what it is. If you know what it is, go into the comments and, tell me what it is, but, I don't know what it is, but apparently it's metal, it's heavy.
very clearly moved their head up to the ceiling as a response to the noise. They went for the stairs, walking up very, very slowly, step by step. Meanwhile, I got a text back from my dad saying, "No, he's not. I just spoke to him half an hour ago. Why?" I got so caught up in my phone texting my dad to send help that I didn't even pay attention to the monitor. There was a knock at the door. I looked at it and then the screens. The first screen I laid my eyes on was the one showing the person outside the door to the room I was in. When I remembered that door had no lock, the only thing I could think to do was jump out the window into the bushes below. I ran halfway down the block and then stopped when my dad called me. I had him call his friend and ask him if he was expecting somebody in the house. The man said he had no relatives or friends who had his key or would ever let themselves into his home. So he called the cops and had them review the footage. I got to watch all of it, and it showed everything. From the moment the intruder broke the glass to the backyard door, to the moment I jumped out the window and him running away shortly after.
Wow.
The intruder was never found. The footage was just too dark to identify.
Well, okay, so they have this thing, and basically makes everything brighter. It's, it's, actually something pretty interesting. I have one. It's called a light bulb. Yeah, I don't know why your dad's calling you, tech savvy or whatever, tech genius and everything, when, you don't even know about light bulbs. Jeez.
His face.
Okay, let's move on to the next story, which is not this. Okay, it's true hitchhiking stories. Is it true? Oh, it's not true. Or is it?
3 months after I turned
Who knows?
16 in 2005, I got my first car, a 99 Toyota Camry. On a warm Saturday
Wow.
night, when my friend Alex invited me over to one of his friend's big parties, I knew I wouldn't be in a condition to drive the Camry home afterward, so we carpooled with Alex's girlfriend, Brianna. We lived in the countryside of Virginia, meaning less big parties. Meaning when there was a big party, it was a huge...
She looks like she's old enough to be his, sister. Yeah. I'm just really tired, people. Just saying. That's what I do like making these videos. I'm just super tired, Busy day. I'll be releasing 3 more videos tonight. Maybe if you're lucky, 4 more. Maybe.
...deal and everyone would go. We lived about 5 to 10 minutes away from this kid's house. I knew where he lived as I was acquainted with him, but not exactly friends. The whole ride there, we took the same 2-lane highway type road through the woods, and this kid's house was actually on this road further down. At certain points on this road, there were a few houses on either side, and then it would just go back to being a long, empty highway again. The house was tiny, like a lot of houses around the area, but the party was held outside anyway, since his closest neighbors were relatively far away, and noise wasn't an issue. I'll skip most of the party up until the point that Brianna, who was supposed to be our designated driver, had to suddenly leave for a small family emergency. Alex said it was fine and that we'd find a ride home. Well, fast forward another few hours and another few drinks, and I could barely even walk straight. I checked my watch, and it was like 2 in the morning. I figured it was time to go.
Not too bad.
I started looking for Alex, but I couldn't find him anywhere. In fact, it seemed like everybody I knew had already left. I could barely even think straight, but I was still furious at the fact that Alex could have actually left without me. I asked to use the party host's phone and dialed Alex's home number. After 2 tries, I gave up and then realized I shouldn't wake his family up.
Okay,
So, literally
they're not
knowing
related.
what else to do, I dizzily stepped out onto the road and began walking back home. I knew this walk would take anywhere from half an hour to an hour in my condition. Maybe after 15 minutes of walking down the road, the slight shine of car headlights on the road was fading in from behind me. Jumping for joy inside, I lifted up my arm and stuck out my thumb. As the car neared, it slowed down and came to a stop right next to me. The man driving the '98 Ford Explorer rolled down the window.
What the hell is that sound? I don't know if any of you heard that, but I heard like sound like a baby crying. I think that was from the video. I was just hearing
And asked where you headed. I told him my house was just down the road and beyond a right turn, probably slurring my words beyond comprehension. He chuckled and told me to hop in. I thanked him and joyously hopped into the truck. I was exhausted, and I remember completely disregarding things the guy was asking me because I was so close to just passing out. And that's what happened.
He passed out.
The memories of being in that truck turned to a fog, as I'm sure I passed out. The next thing I remember, I woke up still in the moving truck. The guy looked at me and laughed, but didn't say anything.
That's weird.
I looked around and realized the road we were on wasn't familiar. I nervously asked, where are we going?
Home.
He then said, so what were you doing out this late anyway? As the man answered my very straightforward question with another irrelevant question.
Irrelevant. Damn. Irrelevant.
You can let me out anywhere, I told the man. The man responded
No.
with a firm no.
No.
I felt like throwing up as he said that. No, I really actually felt like I was going to throw up. I started to gag as I felt more and more nauseous by the second. The man took his eyes off the road to look at me, and that's when I thought of the perfect distraction. I turned in his direction as I continued to gag, and he started to kind of lean away and slow down the car. Thankfully, I drank as much as I did, because I finally threw up and made a point of doing it all over the man's lap.
Jesus.
The man yelled in frustration.
I don't know, I'm just very sensitive to like puke and stuff.
And stopped the car, and that's when I took it upon myself to run for my life into the woods and duck behind a few bushes.
Exactly.
The man came following into the woods with a flashlight, and on 2 separate occasions, he shined the light straight over me without noticing. Eventually, I heard his footsteps walk even further in the woods past me. That was when I ran back to his truck, but unfortunately, he was smart enough to lock it.
Smashed the window,
By
jeez.
some miracle, I saw another car approaching in the distance, and I ran out into the middle of the street, waving my arms like a lunatic. The car tried to avoid me, but I wouldn't let it. They were forced to stop, and I yelled at them to help me before they came back. Once I told them that I was kidnapped by the man who was driving that Ford Explorer, the driver agreed to give me a lift. Not to the police station or anything, but to my house. I made it back safely, where I couldn't thank the driver enough. I immediately woke up my parents and told them. My dad wanted to know if I got his tag number, and then I felt like punching myself in the face. I felt
I don't know what a tag number is. I'm assuming it's like the number plate. Because I'm Australian. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they're like American or something. But, just saying. Yeah. Let's keep going. We're almost done.
to get the simplest information from the guy that would have allowed me to actually properly report him. All I knew was that he drove a faded blue '99 Ford Explorer. I made sure to give Alex a piece of my mind, and part of me always held a grudge against him ever since, just for abandoning me at a party without telling me. I haven't seen him in 4 years now, however, and this was actually the first time I even thought about this incident for almost a year now. As time goes on, even the worst of memories may start to fade, but after writing this to share with the internet, it's once again fresh in my mind.
The interweb. Well, anyway, that'll be it for the video today, people. Hope you enjoyed it. Well, not today, actually. I shall see you all in the next video, which should be after dinner. So, yeah, bye.